Hello and welcome to another video from Machining by Mike. Although the channel is for machining, I'm also going to look at other tools and equipment in the workshop from time to time. Today I'm going to have a look at my dad's old electric welder with a view to finding out more about it, as I've not really used it much and I've not seen it in use much. I have no information about it. I don't even know who made it. So we'll have a look at some panels on it and see what we can find out. Also in the video I fit a new plug to the welder and show how to fit correctly a UK mains plug. So let's get my kit off and get out into the sunshine and enjoy the weather as we look at the welder. So here's a view of the welder and I've just dragged it out of the garage up this step here with the handle which is stretching out there. Now you might realise it is quite a tall item with not very much wheelbase, so getting that up this step, being a heavy piece of work, is not easy. And this time getting it up that little step there first, I just give it a good yank on the handle and the whole thing tipped up on me. So tip to the right as is viewing it there, and I've managed to get it to land on the mains plug, which is smashed, so I need to fit a new mains plug. So while I'm doing that, I've decided to have a look at the machine itself and give it a bit of TLC and put some oil on the moving parts. So you might as well join me while I'm doing that. And for the strange noises in the background, we've got the bin men collecting bottles and glasses. So here we are looking at the top of the welder, and the plug and top of the plug has just been smashed off with the screw still in the top. And if we go looking at the bottom of the plug, there's a great big hole right through. If I can bang the camera enough, you might just see my finger in that hole. If not, I shall put my glasses arm into shot. But that hole is where the screw used to be that held the top on. So, I know what you're all screaming. Yeah, that's another one of my dad's bodge jobs. So that will be out, and we'll get a plug on it with a conventional 13 amp fuse. I'm not sure what current this welder will draw as a maximum. It may be 15 amp, but we'll have a look at it, see what plates we can get on it. I believe it's quite modern, about 70-year-old, and we'll see if we can find some kind of year of manufacture on it, and we'll have a look around it as well, just for general interest. I'm also going to stick some meters on it out of interest to see what power it does actually give out. So I think the first job is to drag the welder into some open space so we can work around it. This looks like some open space, so I'll just go and get the welder. Right, we can now get around it. It's not as near as the red car as it looks. And then we'll see what we've got. Got the hammer, got the wires all stretched out in a mess, which we can deal with later. But the first thing to note on this one is we've got a plate there. Well, got 3570. But let's have a closer look at that. See if we've got a year of manufacture on there. Just like to thank Mr. Crispin, especially his brother, for the use of his toothbrush, which I've just used to dust down this plate. I also note while I'm here, we've actually got a wire in the corner, earth in the chassis. Wasn't aware of that until just now. So, can anyone read what it says in there? Oh yes. Ah, or not. MC machine 3570 type. Oh wow, type. I couldn't read that before I brushed it. Monter means nothing to me. Next one down. No, I can't read that. So anybody read that? Let me know what it says. Oh, it's supply voltage, isn't it? 200 to 230, 400 to 450 volts. Ah, right, okay. So that's something or other. Voltage, volts. I'll go along with that. Now then, what does that say? Oh, I don't think I can zoom in anymore. It just doesn't. It loses focus. If I creep up on it. Something or other amps, I reckon. $10 to 388, something like that, perhaps. Let's see what the next row down is. 50 cycles. We can guess that one. Oh yes, there's the AC symbol. We can make that out. Phase. Well, I know that should say 1 or 3, as in 1 and 3, because it does run on 3 phase, which is something I'm going to do later. Not sure. Does that really say RPM? For a transformer, that says RPM. Perhaps that's why it's blank. Output 4590 volts. $15 to 200 amp. Well, that's a shame. I was hoping the volts was 15 to 200. 4590. I have a feeling that that's high or low gear. It definitely has different output terminals, so there'll be the low one and the high one. So one of those is one and one is the other, and that'll be maximum. 100%, is that? Does that really say 100%? 150. Don't understand that, never mind. Oh, there's another percent there. Ah, it's what, 150 amp continuous. I think that's probably what that means. And is that 75%? 175 amp at 75% use. 50% use, 200 amp. Well, it did say maximum 200 on the line above. So if you run it to the max, you can only use it half the time. Well, that's fair enough, that gives it time to cool off. So I think that will just about do for that plate. And camera says its battery wants charging. So first step in putting a new plug on is removing the old broken one. Now I could just disconnect it and wire on the new plug, but because these things get a lot of stress and strain where the wire comes out of the plug, I'm going to cut the wire off and start on a fresh bit of copper. Like so. Taking the freshly cut off end, we then score around the outer cable, the outer insulation, without cutting into the inner insulation. So this needs to be done very carefully and involves looking into a thin groove are we on shot, and all being well the outer will snap. And final bit there, just give it a bit more blade. That's it. And the outer rubber should just come off. It's coming slowly. And there we have it. The 3 cores with their own insulation not nicked where they go into the outer insulation. Now cut these to suit the plug. So the outer core wants to go up to that stop there. This is old school wiring colours in the UK, red for live, which goes to that screw there. So that can be cut short to that point there. Black one to this one here, so that can be shortened to there, and the earth full length as is round to there, it just needs the end bearing. So I shall stop the camera and bare the ends of those 3 cores. So there we have the earth, neutral, let's try that again, live was the red bit, neutral is the black, and the green is the earth, the long one, in this old colour scheme of UK wiring. And the insulation is actually rubber, but it's in good condition, so I shall continue to use it. So here I've removed the cord grip out of here, I've loosened all the terminal screws, and the first one I'm going to put in is the live. It is the short wire, and I'm going to feed that one into there nice and carefully, so that none of the strands are separated from the others. They all go under the screw, and clamp that one down tight. Next, the neutral bends round into there, and round the screw post. Poke it down with the screwdriver, bend it round, like that. Put the screw back on and tighten that down. Tight. I'll check the live. That's tight. So just now the earth to go in. I'll do the same with that. I'll take the screw off so I can see where the wire needs to go. Which is just there. Put the screw terminal back on and tighten that down. Tight. And there we have it, more or less correct. Next to go in is the cable clamp grip. Which, to be honest, is about shot. and then we put the top on. And that is that. Right, having fitted the new plug, it's not a new plug either, it's another ancient hard plastic thing that's not going to last very long. Just do some safety checks. So I've got my test meter over here. I've got one test lead on the earth pin of the plug, and I've got the other one in my hand, and in theory on the bare metal that's on the welder I should get a low resistance reading to say that the mains cable earth wire is in good condition. Now this is not in good condition, it is rusty, and rust does not conduct. So we have to apply a bit of cunning and test a screw, and that one is not doing any good at all. Let's try this screw, pulling this plate on. 0.4 ohms. In other words, the earth lead is a very good conductor. So I am totally happy that that equipment is safe to use, but whether it works or not doesn't matter. It's safe. So, does it work or does it not? Is an easy fix. I've got a power point here. I plug it in, switch it on, and it should go bang. And it did. It is now buzzing merrily. Screw this all the way. And that is now reading, well, near the top. It's not all the way at the top, it's near enough. Right, back to where I was over here. And where's my meter gone? So the meter is now on AC volts. Put the negative on there. Now I can put the positive there. And that is showing 51 volt. So on the basis that the panel says 45 volts or 90 volts, then on the 200 amp setting it's a maximum of the lower voltage range, and presumably then lower current range is the higher voltage, which is interesting. I'll crank the handle now and see where the voltage goes. So that's the range, 40 to 50 volts. Interesting. Who knew? So yeah, it looks very much like the wheels have been added by my father. You're not going to see this, but caster wheel doesn't work very well, so let's move on. So here's plate number 1. There are 4 terminals where the wires are connected. If we just move to the left, the wires are there. We'll have a look at those in a minute. So 2 settings for high amperage and low amperage, with suggestions for the electrode size for the 2 alternatives. Well, I'll just stick my head down the top. Looking at the terminals, the left 2 are bridged, the right 2 are bridged, and the wires are on the extreme end posts. So it is currently in the high setting. Right, the next plate is for connecting the welder to the power supply. And we've got 4 options. The writing on this side doesn't say a lot. Primary connection, please check carefully, not very exciting. And we've got 200 volt, 400 volt, 460 volt, 230 volt. So I'm guessing that wherever these connections are, it will be currently on the 230 volt setting, as that would be correct. So, well, we haven't got 460, but we've got 415, so I suspect 400 will be where we go next to run it on 3-phase. So that is interesting. What sort of 3-phase is it running on? It's single phase, but 415 volt, isn't it? It's not actually going to use all 3 phases. So slightly disappointed in that, but we'll have another look at that in a bit. Next, we bypassed the gauge. You can see just there the red mark and my dad's handwriting. For the power setting, the high setting on the right, left, maximum 200 on the left, maximum 100 on the right. So we're on the high, so we're on the 200, so that will adjust down to 30 amp. Well, it did say on the plate 15 to 200, so we've got the 15 bottom right and the 200 top left. So that's the current output, and we are currently then on about 150. And this is adjusted by the big hand wheel. It's not a big hand wheel, I'm just well zoomed in on the top, and you just rotate that, and that then drives the screw that alters the settings inside and the dial gauge thing on the side of it. So we'll now have a look at that. Being a nosy sod, I'm going to take the knob off. Not a lot to see down there. But a load of oil will probably do it some good. So I'll go get an oil can. So here we are, looking up its arse. There's the connections for the supply. The top two appear to have the red paint on, or used to have, and 6 in all. So I'll see what I decide to do in regard to using different terminals. I think the 3-phase is only going to be 2-phase, which is a slight disappointment. Also under here we have the mechanism. Random wheel with notches on it. If we go right in, just can't see that. Move the camera. There is a screw thread at the back of that leads up to the knob on the top. So as you were, I'll go and wind the knob on the top, and you can see what goes on down here. and that's all the way. Change of view, wind the handle back. Oh, we've got some guides there as well that need some oil on. And what it's doing is moving an iron core. Oh, it's freeing up now. Oh, that's it. That is the entire range of movement. That's it, back to the other end. So some more lube. On various places, including the wheels. Can't turn that one. It's obviously heavier on one side than the other. So, did you see what moved? Anyway, I'll work it a bit more, but I'll not film anymore. Having taken photos of the welder and information from the manufacturer's plate, and notably the type of welder where it's stamped Monta, I tried to do some research to find out who made this welder. One website is called graciesguide.co.uk, which is a website of historical British industrial companies, and I couldn't find Monta on there. But I did look for welding organisations or companies, and there are quite a few. One that I have heard of, Lincoln Electric, which I thought was an American company, but appears to have had branches in the UK as well. I actually got in touch with them and sent them some photos of the welder, the name Monta, and asked if they had any ideas as to who made it and when. Well, we've had no further information on the date of manufacture, but we have got a name, or a manufacturer's name, and that is English Electric Arc Welding Limited, and they were based in Glasgow. But anything more on that company, there doesn't seem to be much available on the internet. So that's really as far as I've got in finding out more about this welder. So anyway, that wraps up this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers!